Check, check. Hey, welcome back to the Do You podcast. This is the final episode of the graduation series, and I am Boyder. The show will remain, but this theme is coming to a halt. And today is a doozy. I talked to the creator of a premier music platform, Tim Weber. He started Good Music All Day as a result of procrastinating. He went on to be largely responsible for the explosion of the careers of G-Eazy, Macklemore, Lil Dicky, and many more, and these artists have confirmed this publicly. These are facts, guys. He leveraged that into huge partnership deals, collaborations, to prove that it was more than just a music blog or a site. Tim is one of the most respected people in the music industry that I know, so it's interesting to find out it was one of his mentors in higher education that told him to drop out and pursue the opportunity that he created. This show is so lucky to have Tim as a guest to provide us with some wisdom he's gained over the years on his path to become an established force in this industry. So without further ado, I introduce to you Tim Weber. All right, so I'm sitting down with Tim Weber. We're not sitting down, we're on the phone. I'm in outside of Philadelphia. He's in Nashville. But Tim Weber is responsible for the explosion of many of the careers of your favorite artists, whether you know it or not. He created a global platform, and I'm just thankful that he's on the show today to talk about this graduation series. What's up, my man?
Not much, man. I appreciate you having me on, and look forward to giving some advice to college kids right now in a tough time.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I appreciate it. So now, if you're at a family barbecue or something like that, and someone asks Timmy, what do you do? How do you respond?
Yeah, it's always a tough question to answer. It helps when people know a little bit about the music industry. I start off by saying I'm an entrepreneur. Founded a college music website, and to some people they don't know what that is, so I say a music discovery platform.
Yeah.
Called Good Music All Day. Through starting that, landed some other gigs, including doing A&R for Wyclef Jean, doing some consulting for various upcoming artists, mainly in the marketing or artist development phase. And then started doing some merchandise consulting and a little bit of everything here and there. I like to keep myself busy.
Well, now, I have to admit, man, like, there are many artists that if they got the GMAD cosign, the cosign from your brand, eyes would start paying attention to them. And I know you probably don't, really want to brag outright, but who are some of the artists that you can say you were a pivotal moment in their career?
Yeah, so definitely not normally one to brag or anything like that.
I'm letting you do it. I'm letting you do it right now.
Well, I appreciate it. Always nice to be able to do that. So kind of in the start when we actually launched in 2009 was really around kind of the blog takeoff era. And the real value for us was targeting the college market. There were a lot of like hip hop specific blogs or indie blogs or regional blogs, but we just wanted to target the average college kid. And back in 2009, we were pretty pivotal with some that have done really well, including Macklemore. That was a big one with the Versus EP, getting close with Ben and his manager Q. And working with them, and they've actually continued to show love back and recognized. That was even back in the days when YouTube had on the bottom of their videos, it would have a little thing that said "as seen on," and list the site. And we had like 7 of Macklemore's top 10 videos said "as seen on Good Music All Day," and so they actually reached out and we're appreciative of that support. And then we started sponsoring some mixtapes. If you go on G-Eazy's website, we have the very first project that he put out. It's not technically his first one, but the one that he's still proud of and keeps his public, called The Outsider.
It's the one he lets the world know about still.
Exactly. It's the one that he kind of uses as his public launch. And then, a little bit of everybody else from Mac Miller and Mike Posner to Wiz Khalifa to Lil Dicky more recently. That was another one of the big ones. But yeah, a little bit of everyone. Definitely been lucky in being able to kind of help some upcoming guys that deserve to get some traction, really start to build a significant buzz and a loyal fan base.
Yeah, and what's cool is you sort of served as, in 10 years ago, what the radio program director or the head of net or the network at MTV or
Yeah.
so and so. You're a decision maker, but you're on the pulse of it. You're the same age as these guys. You look like them. You're wearing what they're wearing. And what was the inception? Like what was your initial intention? Because there's some awesome things that came out of this. Was it?
Yeah, totally. I
Did
mean,
you
I
see that,
honestly,
or were you just
no,
having
I
fun?
stumbled. I stumbled into it. It was just a hell of a journey. I went to college at Notre Dame, and while I was there, pretty much my first time with independence and having free time, not doing like sports all the time or all that kind of stuff. So I went into new music, and the website was actually just for my high school group of friends. Since we had all gone off our separate directions, I wanted a website to be able to tell everyone what I was listening to, and hear what they were listening to. So that was really the main idea, and it was just a WordPress site, tweb90wordpress.com. And when we actually hit 1,000 page views a day, I shut it down because I didn't think of it as something public. I didn't want really people I didn't know checking it out. I'm not a great journalist. I didn't really anticipate what it could be. And some of my friends were kind of like, man, you're crazy. At least see what it can do. So bought the domain Good Music All Day. And then, over the next 6 months, we went from 1,000 page views a day to 100,000 page views a day.
That's awesome,
And
man.
it just kind of took off. Yeah. So really stumbled.
And
Got lucky.
what were you going to school for at the time? You were at Notre Dame?
Yeah, so I went to Notre Dame just for my freshman year, and so technically you didn't have to pick a major, but at the time it was psychology, so I was taking a lot of social psychology, psychology type classes.
So your extracurriculars were building a site and having some fun with it.
Yeah, literally. I mean, I built this site first semester at the library for finals, and I was like, man, I don't want to study for finals. I don't want to write these
Yeah.
papers. I'm just going to start fooling around with the website. And then pretty much by the end of that freshman year, it had gained enough traction that I transferred to NYU, and was kind of like, hey, let's see what can happen with this website. Maybe it'll get me a job in the music industry. Maybe I'll be able to work at a label. And then it was that summer semester at NYU that things really kind of reached another echelon, and had some mentors telling me to stop going to school and try to pursue it full time and see what it could do.
So it's basically the most productive form of procrastination that's ever been made in the history. You
Exactly,
were not trying
exactly.
to study for finals, so you built this platform. Now, when you went to how long did you stay in New York going to school
Uh,
there?
so just one semester. So I actually did basically my first two semesters at Notre Dame. I did the summer semester at NYU. Then I transferred to Belmont in Nashville and did that fall semester there. So I did three colleges within 18 months
You
and then
you have a
dropped out.
you have a concoction of colleges there.
I did.
A
I did.
little.
Yeah.
Now, what did your mentors tell you at the time in New York that like gave you the confidence to say, hey, maybe I should pursue this, and what were the factors that went into that decision?
Yeah, so for me, and my family coming up, my mom was always in the educational system. She was a teacher, had started some schools and stuff. And when the head of the Clive Davis program out there, Jeff Rabhan, he told me to drop out of school. And he was like, man, people go to school to get opportunities. You have an opportunity in front of you. You either do it full time and give it your all, or you just admit that this is a hobby and focus on school, but it's one or the other. So do that. And when I heard that, I told my mom, and she didn't believe it. So she flew to New York to meet with him, and we sat down together. And he told my mom the same thing, and she was like, "I can't believe that somebody in higher education would ever tell a kid to drop out. This is insane." And so when I heard that, I was kind of like, "Man, there's got to be something if somebody in this position is telling me that I'm onto something good enough to take a break from school." So I decided to kind of see what it was going to be. I didn't quite have the confidence to fully drop out. So at that time, I just transferred to Belmont to the entrepreneurship program to kind of start the LLC and get the business foundation going. And then once the business foundation was set up and the contract with Vibe was signed as the advertising agency, it kind of seemed like the pieces were put in place good enough for me to be able to take what I thought would just be a break from school. But 5 years later, it's been a pretty long break.
Now, how long did it take for your mom to come around and support? Well, was there a moment, or because most kids feel that pressure.
Yep. Yep. Totally. Totally. Most kids, and without a doubt, I mean, I'm someone that would say I thoroughly hate disappointing my parents. They're some of the biggest mentors, and I look up to them wholeheartedly.
Absolutely.
But that decision to drop out of school was definitely extremely tough. I mean, it's definitely one of the most telling my parents in an airport that I wasn't going to be going back the next semester and seeing them kind of cry and just their disappointment in what I
Yeah.
was doing was something that hit home for me, but it also just kind of made me want to work harder and prove them wrong. And at the end of the day, I don't think there was ever one defining moment that kind of made them see like, oh, wow, this is totally worthwhile and whatnot. I think
Yeah.
it was more of a couple steps of them seeing how seriously I was taking it and trying to put together business plans and getting to meet some unbelievable artists and people that they knew and getting a job with Wyclef and some
Yeah.
of those kind of things. They could start to see that it was more than just me giving up on school and being lazy. And I think that's what kind of, but I mean, it took a couple of years. I'd say it probably took about 18 months, 2 years for them to fully get behind it. And you
Fully
can't really,
understand.
yeah, and you can't really expect parents to understand, the blog world. I mean,
Not.
technology's changing so much. So when they hear your son's dropping out to be a blogger and for music, they think, oh, great, my son just started smoking too much weed and doesn't want to go to school.
Yeah, yeah. And there's thousands upon thousands of kids and their mothers and random people putting up blogs at this time, but there was a difference with what you were doing. You could tell that you guys would evolve. Every 3 to 6 months you'd be posting new contests and like
Yep.
collaborations and things like that, where you could tell you were treating it as a business more than just a site. You
Yeah.
were really trying to merge worlds.
Totally, totally. And I think for me, it was much more of like understanding the branding side. I definitely got how to cross promote and create mutual beneficial relationships between artists and brands that I could leverage to strengthen my own. And I saw as the page views started to come and as the play count started to come for each song we were posting, getting between 5 and 10,000 plays for upcoming artists. That was a big deal for them. So trying to leverage originally premieres and then going into sponsoring full tapes and then evolving into doing some type of contests and then eventually starting to work with corporate brands like Coors Light or Toyota or Rockstar Games to help them try and come up with some natural co-branded marketing campaigns to hit the college market. So it was interesting, but at the same time, not having that education and the full business understanding, it became after a couple of years that it seemed like most of my time was being focused on the legal and financial side of things rather than really trying to be that kind of A&R or breaking the next big
Yeah.
thing.
Now, if you were if a kid came to you and he was in a similar situation where he was working on something or didn't know that he wanted to go to school for something, what advice would you give him? If he's thinking about leaving or transferring,
Yeah,
starting something new.
yeah, I mean, I always say, like at the end of the day, you got to follow your heart. You got to do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
You never know how short your time is going to be on this earth, so you don't go through the motions. That's kind of the worst thing you can do is just do something because you think it's what you're supposed to do. It can be scary to want to transfer schools or move cities or do something that seems non-traditional, but at the end of the day, your personal happiness is contagious to other people and will lead to a more successful life. And I think though that one of the big things is you also still have to be able to eat. I mean, you got to be able to have a roof
Yeah.
over your head and eat and all that. So there is something to be said for having that security, but there's a way to find that balance between taking a risk and willing to do something new with also jeopardizing your own personal health.
Yeah, and the risk that you took, it was you did some actual research on it. Like you were working on this thing for a couple years. You had smart people telling you that you could do it. It was an educated risk. You
Yeah.
you
Yep.
weren't just, like, some kids maybe just like, I don't want to do what I'm doing. Well, if you don't have another alternative, figure out what that is and play it safe until you know what you want to do and where you want to dump your chips.
Totally, totally. And I think one of the biggest things that people hear a lot, especially in the entertainment industry, is this whole concept of selling out. And to me, that's applicable to any person at any stage of their life. If you're doing something that you don't like, but you're doing it for the money, at the end of the day, if you have an 8 to 5 and you work that 8 to 5, but you hate it, but it pays the bills and allows you to fully disconnect and then spend the other hours of your day doing passion projects and hanging out with your family and friends. There is something to do that, just like if an artist does a commercial for something they don't really believe in, but it gives them the ability to then go out and take some time off touring and do charity work and all these other things. I think everybody does that to a little bit. And I think I kind of got caught up in this idea that everybody was glorifying what I was doing because I was able to be on the road with some really cool people, and then and it always seemed like to everyone else I had it all figured out, but people don't see me working 40 hours a week at Panera at the same time just to try to make sure I can keep my lights on.
Yeah.
And then eventually, once it becomes that full-time gig, that was kind of where I justified, okay, now I can put I'm getting enough money where I can focus just on this. But I mean, there's no harm in I was going to school, working almost full time at Panera, and trying to do this. It's definitely not easy, but following your passion is definitely one of the most rewarding things you can do.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a great point to touch upon. It's hard for people to like capture in their minds. All they're seeing is the fun stuff. To
Yep.
get to that fun stuff, you have to do the dirty nitty gritty. Yeah, coffee shop to Panera to pretending you're drinking a soda. Buying
Yep.
a soda just to use their internet.
Yep. Totally.
We're gonna hit you with some rapid fire questions. All right. If
Hell
you
yeah.
were
Let's
given,
go.
let's get it. If you were given $500 as a graduation gift, how would you use it?
Should use it. I should save it and know that when I want to spend it, the time will be right. How I would have used it was probably go ball out with my friends and have a fun time and relax for a little bit. But I would say now, knowing what I know, save it.
Knowing what you know now, if you had to use it towards building your business, what is the first purchase you would buy
First purchase I would buy is probably
or make it?
yeah, honestly it's help. I would have given someone else that $500 to help me with something that I would have needed more so than buying any type of material good. I think
Yeah,
manpower and incentivizing people. Yeah, I probably would have given it to someone to help.
I love it. I love it. Now, if you were to gift a graduate one book, what would it be?
There's a book that I just read called The Happiness Hypothesis.
Yep.
I think that that's a great book. I think at the end of the day, right now, yeah, the whole concept of happiness is something that everybody really needs to think about, not just going through the motions, but really understanding all different aspects of your life that play into happiness.
Yeah. All right, so you have the opportunity, right, to give every graduate this year of May, June, whenever they're graduating, a fortune cookie. All right, it's going to be sitting on their seat when that day comes, and you get to pick the tagline, what it says in each of those fortune cookies. What does your tagline say?
Whew, that's tough. That's tough. I think mine would have to be something that says along the lines of take a deep breath, think about what makes you happy, and go chase it. Something
I
something
like
along
that.
those
I
lines.
like
Yeah.
the deep breath. So many times we forget to breathe and just come
Amen.
come back to this instant where we are.
This present moment where we're alive and there's nothing more beautiful than being alive right now, so let's cherish it.
Awesome. I love that. And then lastly, what's your definition of success?
Yeah, I think success is a really interesting word, especially in college and as you go into the adult life. I think a lot of times it has connotations that are involved around status or work or income, or amount of people that know you or something along those lines. And I think that that is one of the most detrimental things to kids is to think that success is going to be when you get a promotion or when you hit X dollar value or, oh, if you have 10,000 followers on something. I think success is way more tied to happiness. And I think
Uh-huh.
there are people in third world countries that live on less than $1 a day and live with their families, but they are genuinely happy from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep, and you can see that smile on their face. And to me, that's more successful than trying to chase millions of dollars and be on Wall Street and be terribly stressed and not have healthy relationships and all that. So I think success is more closely tied to happiness, really, than anything else. I think obviously you need the financials to be able to take care of yourself and eat and not go to those crazy extremes, but that there really is no one definition of success for everyone. It looks different for every artist that I work with. It looks different for every one of my friends that's graduated college or hasn't. There's no one trajectory where you can look at someone and be like, oh, that person's successful, more so than just seeing how genuine the smiles are on their face and how loving they are.
I love that, man. I love that. That's a strong message, because people can get caught up in the, like, being validated by strangers who are across the country, where there's relationships right in front of them that they could just embrace and enjoy, and find a lot more fulfillment in that way.
Exactly. And I think we have a tendency of kind of idolizing the people in the media and thinking that they're the most successful. And you hear it year after year after year about people in the spotlight actually being depressed, and Kendrick with fame and Macklemore with fame and everybody else that's kind of gone through it. I don't think success is as easy as saying, oh, they've made it, we know their names, they're in the spotlight. So just something to keep in mind for college kids right now.
Cool, man. I love that so much. Thank you for your time today. I know you're busy. You got a lot of stuff happening right now. Can you lead us to where anyone can find you? Twitter, your handles, whatever.
Yeah. So my Twitter is gmad tweb, GMADTWEB. Instagram's the same thing. And if you want to shoot me an email, I would love to get it. The email is tim@theartist.us.
And then, are you going to any music festivals this summer? Anything big like that planned, or you shoot from the hip with that?
Man, I kind of got festivaled out, to be totally honest. Probably about 3 and 2 years ago,
Okay.
Going to 10 plus festivals a year. I love them. I mean, I'll be going to Vanderbilt's little festival later tonight with Lil Dicky and some of those guys. So, I mean, I definitely still try to go to live shows, but unfortunately for me, the festivals kind of feel like you got to take a whole week out of your life just 2 days to prepare, go to the festival, 2 days to come down.
Yeah, there's a production. There's a whole production involved.
It is, but I'm sure I'll keep going to them. I just got to pick the right ones. Definitely Lollapalooza every year, though.
All right, man. Keep smiling, keep boogieing. Thank you for your time, and good luck with everything.
Hey, I appreciate it, Thomas. You have a great one, buddy.
All right, see you, brother. Okay, absolutely lovely. Thank you for listening this far in the podcast with Tim Weber. If you enjoyed that, please send him a shout on Twitter. I messed that up. GMadTWeb on Twitter. GMadTWeb. At me too, Boyder Yo, and I'll definitely be sending some highs and what's ups and maybe some pictures of the yams that I'm cooking that day back to you. And hey, listen, have a fantastic day, weekend, moment, whatever you're doing. Keep doing you.